Here he is, co-founder of Morphcostumes.
It's working.
Is that comfortable?
Very comfortable. You'll probably be unsurprised to hear that over the past 5 years I've worn these once or twice. Quite often we go to trade shows and we're in these for pretty much the whole day. So this is water off duck's back. But for those of you who now feel you're going to be put off your coffees, please accept my apologies.
Okay, so just take us back a bit. You were working for Procter & Gamble before you launched the business. So where did you come up with this idea for an all-in-one lycra costume?
My love of fancy dress started a long time ago. My mum used to dress us kids up in costumes for the local village summer fair. There was a fancy dress parade, and it probably be looked upon as a sort of mild case of child abuse nowadays, but pretty nasty homemade stuff, but we actually won quite a few times. But back then I realised just how much fun it was, how it made a fun occasion even more fun. It was really getting attention and all that sort of stuff. I dressed up a fair amount when I was at university with mates, and I was living in Dublin at the time, running the beauty business for Procter & Gamble, and had a bunch of mates over, and we decided, rather than just going out and getting drunk in Dublin for the whole weekend, we'd all dress up in one colour and have a series of events that we competed in. And I thought I was doing quite well in yellow shorts, yellow t-shirt, yellow hat, and then this guy rocks up in an all-in-one spandex costume he got from an eBay fetish site. And he went to a temple bar that night and was like a superhero celebrity. And at the very core of our business 5 years on is this sort of insight and this desire that we want to create amazingly impactful costumes in this day and age, in lots of different shapes and sizes, but back then it was just amazing. Like, he's an accountant by trade, he was cartwheeling down the street, being clapped on by boys and girls. One guy bought him a kebab to say well done, and that was the real sort of light bulb moment. But yeah, that's where it all kicked off, and then from there we got some money together and bought some more in and played about them ourselves and launched the business.
And you actually made the decision to launch the business on Facebook, which was quite unusual at the time. You were one of the first companies to do that. What was behind that decision, and what was your view of that? What were the lessons learned?
Behind that decision was that we had no money, and Facebook back then was pretty much free. And the whole world of digital, we've been listening all day about how impactful e-com and digital is these days. Back then it was very different. Our first website, which did £1 million worth of business, we built for $400 from through a sort of company called 99 Designs. It was an Indonesian guy, just crazy stuff. And we spent all the rest of our money in stock. And when it came about driving awareness, we would literally go into nightclubs with a bag full of Morphsuits and go up to guys and say, hi, do you want one of these costumes? And it wasn't always successful, but we did actually sell a lot of them there like that. And one of the key things about the whole business is that Morphsuits is written on the bum of our costumes, so that every person wearing them is like a walking advert. So anyway, that was fine, and that got us to a few more hundred customers, but yeah, we needed something bigger, and basically Facebook let us tap this global audience for whom impact and social credibility was everything. And back then there were certainly not many things more impactful than a guy doing something crazy in a morphsuit, or even just in Tesco supermarket. And so what we found was that for every fan that we paid for on Facebook, we got about another 8 organically. And so that was great, because we slowly but surely built this followership on Facebook, which was great. We could talk to them every single day, but it also gave us an amazing credibility when it came to talking with our customers. We were a crazy all-in-one spandex business, and it was quite difficult having a serious conversation with some of the bigger players in the market. And it's a $6 billion industry. But when we said we had 100,000, 200,000, 1 million Facebook fans, that immediately got our foot in the door.
I mean, obviously, social media has changed beyond recognition since 2009 when you launched. For the budding entrepreneurs in the room, would you still recommend that as a launch pad?
I'd say it's probably a necessary evil, but we spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on Facebook to get our 1.5 million fans. I mean, a lot of people have asked me that, but yeah, we had to chuck a lot of cash at that. But it was just this multiplier effect, which is gone now, and it's basically a paid-for media platform versus social media, which is what it was intended to be at the beginning. And so, despite the fact that I have 1.5 million fans, of whom I pay a lot of money for, I have to pay more to actually get to talk to them now because the organic reach of Facebook is pretty much zero.
Tell us a little bit more about your customers and the markets that you're in. So who are your customers and where are your target markets? Because presumably there are some markets that you just wouldn't touch where the rules wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's working for Procter & Gamble. We were always told, the company's mantra at its very core is consumer is boss. And that is something that has held us in great stead to just keep that at the heart of everything we try and do now. The fact that, less so now, I'm 36 and I still get told up in fancy dress a lot more than most 36-year-olds. But I'm a little bit further away from the 18 to 24-year-olds, the Snapchat generation, so I have to work a bit harder at it. And we bring our consumers to life. We've basically got three segments. The first is the Freedom Finder fifth form fresher, for short, and they are sort of leaving school or just at university. They feel the need to gently rebel. Think of Lynx Effect guy, those sort of Lynx adverts where it's basically all about spray and have sex. It's a little bit like that. Later Legendary is basically what we talk to these guys about. And they just need to sort of gently rebel. They're massive fans on social media. They will often change their profile picture and their name to include either a picture of them in a Morphsuit or change their name to John Morph Smith or something like that. They really embrace it. But they're time rich, cash poor. And then there's basically an older version of these guys, which are sort of, we call them the happy weekender, who's a bit more like me. They're, say they're in the rat race, they're working, they've got a bit more cash, a bit less time, and they don't think so much about spending 35 quid at the weekend for a costume with all of their mates. And then more and more we have mums who are coming to buy kids' Morphsuits and some of our other non-spandex costumes for their kids. They have to have the highest conversion rate due to the power of pestering.
What about the markets that you're in terms of international?
Yeah, so this was another phenomenon with e-commerce. The amount of money that it would have taken us to basically go all around the world. We sell in about 20 countries now. That would have taken a huge amount of investment. As it was, we basically reskinned our UK website and then linked it into warehouses in other countries around the world, so which gave us global reach. And also, linked into Facebook. We have an English-speaking Facebook page, so we basically changed some of the words on the US side, the Canadian side, Australia, New Zealand, linked them into warehouses, and then that was us up and running in the space of about 8 months from start. And since then, we've added in continental European markets as well, just with a bit of translation, which is all very easy to do these days. So that basically gave us a sort of foothold around the world. We still got to go to the likes of China, where it's obviously a huge part of business growth at the moment, but there's an element of that would be like selling sand back to the Emirates with them. That's where a lot of them are made, and I don't think they're quite ready for the fancy dress phenomenon that the sort of English-speaking world is.
So when you started the business, you and your two mates each put some of your savings into the business. How have you financed the business since?
We were self-financed for the first couple of years. We experienced terrific growth of like 300% year on year for the first 3 years. We had a bit of a bottleneck when we started to really expand, and what we get is these huge customer trade orders for like a party set, which is $1 billion business, and they would order hundreds of thousands of units, and so we had this cash flow issue around Halloween because the difference between when they place the order and when we actually get paid was quite significant. So we've worked with Barclays, and they've been great partners as we've grown, and that was one part of it. And then a couple of years ago, we took investment from the Business Growth Fund, who have come on board and really helped sort of shore up as a business, as well as giving us cash to do more stuff. So rather than working in a living room, we now have offices which are great, both in London and Edinburgh. We have been able to employ top people to do some of the things that we are less good at. such as the logistics and production and e-commerce. And we've also been able to buy lots of licenses, which has been critical in defending ourselves versus some of the knockoffs, as we affectionately call them, who have copied us. And then lastly, they've shortened up our business processes. You know, as a young business, we were basically wild for the first couple of years, and just riding the crest of the wave. And board meetings were effectively the three of us in a pub shouting at each other a lot of the time. Now we have our chairman, Ralph Kugler, who is ex-Unilever, and it gives me the biggest kick to say this, but he is on the board of Mars, and their $1 billion business, and our business. We're a little pet project, but it's great. And as a result, we have proper board meetings and all that sort of stuff.
And when you started, you kind of created this whole new sector, really. You touched on this earlier about copycat businesses.
Yes.
How have you handled them? What have been the big challenges?
With difficulty, to be honest. Initially, it really annoyed us, but the reality is the barriers to entry are really low. We had 16-year-old kids copying us who had, gone to Alibaba.com, picked up some spandex suits and started selling them on a website they learned to make in their IT class at school. We also have a $500 million turnover business called Ruby's copying us, and they've applied some of the licenses that they had. So it's been tough, and after a couple of days of being really hacked off that we were getting our grass cut, we were just very pragmatic about it. So it was a case of what can we do to protect ourselves and make this less of an issue. There were several things. The first, because we had the option of protecting all of our designs, but it was going to cost a lot of money. We weren't really sure if that was going to be totally protectable and watertight as well. So we worked really hard at getting licenses outside Ruby's, which, as I say, is $500 million turnover. We are the only other costume industry business in the industry with Marvel, Lucas, Disney licenses. We've got Power Rangers, Robocop, like really cool Hollywood characters which people want to dress up as, and no one can copy those. We have them, particularly for the UK and the EU or Taiwan. We also focused in on our NPD, and just, they were copying us and copying everything we did. And whilst they were copying, we were thinking about how can we take it on to the next level. And it's that sort of insight and focus on the consumer that has helped us keep ahead of them. And yeah, look, a red and black morphsuit is pretty much commoditized now, but a lot of our innovation is coming in sort of trading people up into more premium suits.
So how do you stay innovative? Talk us through where this design came from.
So this is something I'm particularly proud of. Business 101 is you've got to be passionate about what you do. And this suit I particularly like because not only are we moving morphsuits on, we've got a three-dimensional element with the teeth now, the printing is photorealistic, but also where this came from. On Facebook, I check it every day, and a guy posted a picture of this amazing morphsuit costume I'd never seen before. I was like, where is this? It turns out he's a Canadian spray paint artist. He bought a white morphsuit and then basically sprayed it up with this incredible sort of monster design. And so we chatted for a bit, and he's telling me he was struggling to make ends meet, all that sort of tough stuff. And I said, you have an unbelievable skill, and now we pay him a royalty. We paid him 80 grand last year. He's made about 10 different suits for us that we have in the biggest costume retailers around the world, and he's just this machine in creating stuff. So that is one tranche of our NPD. I'm often too busy running the marketing department and the business in general. We also work with an ex-NASA scientist, another lovely story about sort of business in this day and age. So this guy's called Mark Rober. He used to work at NASA. He needed a Halloween costume one year. Didn't have anything, decided to make one. He cut a hole in a white shirt and sort of bloodied the outside of it, did the same on the back. Taped an iPad to the front and an iPad to the back, and linked the computer on the front to the screen on the back, making it look like he had a hole blown through himself. He took a video of this, and it got 4 million YouTube views overnight. It also got some banter saying, yeah, good one, buddy, but one, I got 2 iPads, and 2, I'm not going to go out in a raging smash with them, because I'll break them. So he got his big brain in gear, and I think knowing how to land the Mars rover on Mars, he was in charge of the jets. He knows that the computer on the Mars rover is significantly less powerful than an iPhone computer. And so he played around with things, created some animations in an app, and a business called Digital Does, and now he basically delivers that same sort of impact with t-shirts with holes cut out, a clever little Velcro patch underneath so you can stick your phone in, and it's got like moving eyes, sort of maggot brains, maybe a Christmas fireplace. And yeah, we met him at a trade show, we got working with him, he liked us, we liked him, and we had routes to markets established already, he had the ideas, and he runs all of our ideas now, and just does an incredible job in the way only an ex-NASA scientist can.
What about some of the big challenges that you face growing the business? I mean, you talked about finance, innovation, copycat businesses. Have there been any kind of near-death business experiences?
Yes, so all-in-one spandex, as much as it pains me to say, is a really niche part of the costume industry. There will be so many idiots like me who will wear spandex from head to toe. People have long hair, they wear makeup, they're body conscious, whatever. So we've been operating in that small sort of tranche for a while, and because our glass is getting cut, whilst there's still loads and loads of spandex costumes being sold around the world, not all of them are coming through us, which they used to be. And coupled with that, we're really focused on e-commerce, and we noticed that we put so much effort in understanding consumer branding, marketing, that we have really amazing page authority on this sort of internet score, which is known as SEO most. Some of you may have heard of this. And basically, versus companies which have been around for 10 years longer than us, had 3,000 more customers than us, we were ranking higher in terms of our authority to sell costumes. And so that sort of light bulb moment has pushed us into expanding into non-spandex costumes, and that's something that we've really got the bit between our teeth on at the moment. And whilst we're still very cognizant that Morphsuits is the golden goose, and we must keep that alive and well, we're branching out into thousands of non-spandex costumes and turning into what would be an e-commerce costume site rather than just solely focusing on spandex.
Okay. Before I open it out to the audience, see if we've got any questions, you mentioned that you've got offices in London and Edinburgh, so a quick political question for you. What are your feelings about the big vote last year, and what do you think are the opportunities and challenges for Scottish businesses ahead?
My view was very simple and pragmatic. My belief was that business is challenging enough and unpredictable enough to merit throwing something as huge as that into the mix. And in my opinion, the upside and the downside on both sides was not nearly clear-cut enough to merit making that big jump. So you can probably guess where I went with that. Looking forward, I think Scotland is an amazing place to do business. I've met with John Swinney a couple of times, and he is incredibly passionate behind it. I think there's a lot of banks focusing on it as well. There's amazing entrepreneurial bodies, and you look back a lot further to the Enlightenment. Scotland was where it was at. Scotland was Silicon Valley. You had all the great thinkers, and I think having that in our history gives us a right to try and get back into that way of thinking. And when you look at the education we have and all that sort of stuff within the population, it's a great platform to do great things.